Hey folks, some places on Earth are just so dangerous you really shouldn't even think about visiting them. This isn't about adventure, it's about survival. And honestly, in these spots, the odds are stacked against you from the moment you arrive. Forget your guidebooks, forget your thirst for a thrill. These are the corners of our planet where Mother Nature shows her harshest side, and where human conflict has left scars so deep they might never heal. This isn't a travel guide, it's a survival briefing on the places you must avoid at all costs. From deadly natural hazards to extreme crime rates, these destinations top the list for all the wrong reasons. We're talking about blistering deserts where the air itself can kill you, islands swarming with more venomous snakes than you can even imagine, and cities where the threat of violence is a constant, terrifying reality. These are not places for selfies or holiday snaps. They're unforgiving environments that test the very limits of human endurance, often with fatal consequences. So join me, Azarwar Arkadiyupekar, as we journey from the safety of our screens to the 15 most dangerous places on Earth. We'll explore what makes them so treacherous and why, no matter how brave you think you are, these are the destinations you must strike off your bucket list forever. This is about understanding the risks, respecting the danger, and ultimately knowing when to stay away. Your life could honestly depend on it. Right, first up is a place that truly lives up to its name, Death Valley. Located in the blistering Mojave Desert, this is the hottest, driest, and lowest national park in the United States. The temperatures here are simply brutal. We're talking recorded air temperatures of over 134 degrees Fahrenheit, or 56.7 degrees Celsius. That's hot enough to cook an egg on the pavement, but more importantly, it's hot enough to kill a person in just a matter of hours. The ground temperature can soar even higher, creating a relentless oven-like environment. The main enemy here is dehydration. In this extreme heat, your body loses water at an alarming rate through sweat. You might not even feel it because the air is so dry it evaporates almost instantly. Without a constant and massive intake of water, we're talking gallons, not bottles, your body will quickly succumb to heat stroke, your organs will start to shut down, you'll become disoriented, and eventually, it's lights out. It's a silent, insidious killer that preys on the unprepared. Many have underestimated this place and paid the ultimate price. Even the landscape itself is a challenge. The vast, salt flats stretch for miles, reflecting the sun's glare and intensifying the heat. There's little to no shade, and getting lost here is a death sentence. Your vehicle can easily break down on the remote, punishing roads, leaving you stranded miles from any help. Cell service is practically non-existent. You are completely on your own, battling an environment that is actively trying to extinguish you. It's a powerful reminder of nature's raw, unforgiving power. So while its stark beauty might be tempting, Death Valley demands absolute respect. It's a crucible where survival is measured in minutes and liters of water. It's not a place for a casual hike or a scenic drive without meticulous planning and preparation. Even with all the right gear, you are pushing the limits. It's a stark, beautiful, and incredibly lethal landscape that has earned its place at the top of our list. Now imagine an island so infested with deadly serpents that the Brazilian government has forbidden anyone from landing there. That place exists. It's called Ilha da Queimada Grande, but it's better known by its chilling nickname, Snake Island. Located off the coast of Sao Paulo, this small island is home to one of the highest concentrations of venomous snakes anywhere in the world. We're talking about an estimated 1 to 5 snakes per square meter. Just think about that for a second. Everywhere you step, you are within striking distance of a lethal predator, and these aren't just any snakes. The island is the exclusive home of the golden lancehead pit viper, one of the most venomous snakes in all of the Americas. Its venom is incredibly potent, up to 5 times stronger than its mainland cousins. It's a hemotoxin that literally melts the flesh and tissue around the bite mark, causes massive internal bleeding, kidney failure, and brain hemorrhage. A bite from a golden lancehead can kill a person in under an hour. There is no anti-venom readily available on the island, and your chances of getting to a hospital in time are virtually zero. The reason for this serpentine nightmare is evolution in isolation. The snakes became trapped on the island thousands of years ago when rising sea levels cut it off from the mainland. With no ground-level prey, they adapted to hunt migratory birds. To do this, they needed a fast-acting venom that could incapacitate a bird instantly before it could fly away. This evolutionary pressure cooker created the super venomous golden lancehead we see today. The entire island is a perfectly honed death trap. The only people who dare to set foot here are a handful of carefully vetted biologists and the Brazilian Navy on their annual maintenance trip to the island's lighthouse. Even they proceed with extreme caution, often wearing full-body protective gear. Stories of the last lighthouse keeper and his family who perished on the island serve as a grim warning. This is not a place of adventure. It's a place of certain death for the unwary. Nature has drawn a line here, and it's one we should never cross. Our next destination is dangerous, not because of what you can see, but because of what you can't. We're heading to the Chernobyl exclusion zone in Ukraine, the site of the worst nuclear disaster in history. In 1986, a catastrophic explosion at the No. 4 reactor spewed a cloud of radioactive material across Europe. The immediate area was evacuated, creating a 1,000 square mile zone that remains one of the most contaminated places on the planet. The danger here is silent, invisible, and long-lasting radiation. The threat comes from radioactive isotopes like cesium-137 and strontium-90, which settled into the soil, the water, and the very fabric of the buildings. While background radiation in most of the zone has decreased, there are still hotspots of intense contamination where spending even a short amount of time can expose you to dangerous levels of radiation. These hotspots are unpredictable. A seemingly harmless patch of moss or a piece of discarded machinery could be emitting deadly gamma rays. Without a Geiger counter, you'd never know you were standing in a lethal spot until it was too late. The long-term effects of radiation exposure are terrifying. It can lead to cancers, particularly thyroid cancer, leukemia, and other horrific illnesses that may not manifest for years. It damages your DNA, the very blueprint of your body. This is why access to the zone is strictly controlled. Official tours exist, but they follow carefully monitored routes and visitors are constantly checked for contamination. But straying from the path, picking up a souvenir, or disturbing the soil could have devastating consequences for your health. The ghost city of Pripyat, once home to 50,000 people, stands as a chilling monument to the disaster. It's a time capsule of the Soviet era, but it's a poisoned one. The iconic Ferris wheel, the decaying schools, the empty apartment blocks, they are all saturated with an invisible poison. Chernobyl is a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for creating dangers that can outlast us by centuries. It's a place where the past's mistakes linger in the air you breathe and the ground you walk on, a constant, unseen threat to life. In the Bay of Bengal lies an island shrouded in mystery and, honestly, extreme danger, but not from nature. The peril on North Sentinel Island comes from its inhabitants. This island is home to the Sentinelese, one of the last uncontacted peoples in the world. They've lived in complete isolation for, an estimated 60,000 years, and they violently reject any and all attempts at contact from the outside world. To them, we are the threat, and they will defend their home with lethal force. Anyone who has tried to approach the island, be it fishermen, researchers, or missionaries, has been met with a hail of arrows and spears. The Sentinelese are skilled hunters and warriors, and they see any approaching vessel as a hostile invasion. In 2006, 2 fishermen whose boat drifted ashore were killed by the tribe. More recently, in 2018, an American missionary who illegally traveled to the island was also killed. Their message is brutally, unequivocally clear: stay away. The Indian government has declared it illegal for anyone to go within 3 miles of the island. This law exists not only to protect outsiders from the Sentinelese, but also to protect the Sentinelese from the outside world. Having lived in total isolation, they have no immunity to common diseases like the flu or measles. A simple cold could potentially wipe out their entire population. Contact would be a death sentence for them, a form of unintentional genocide. Their hostility is their ultimate survival mechanism. So, while the island itself is a lush, tropical paradise, it is absolutely and completely off-limits. It represents a unique and fragile piece of human history that must be preserved from a distance. The danger here is absolute. It is a place where modern man is not welcome, and any attempt to breach that boundary is an act of extreme folly. The Sentinelese have drawn their line in the sand, and we must respect it. This is one mystery that must be left unsolved. Prepare yourself for a landscape that, honestly, looks like it belongs on another planet. The Danakil Desert in Ethiopia is often called the gateway to hell, and for good reason. This is one of the lowest, driest, and hottest places on Earth. A volatile landscape of volcanoes, sulfur springs, and toxic gases. The temperatures here regularly soar above 122 degrees Fahrenheit. But the heat is only one of the many dangers you'll face in this alien environment. The ground itself is a treacherous mosaic of vibrant, deadly colors. Bright yellow sulfur fields, bubbling green acid ponds and vast, cracked salt flats create a surreal vista. But this beauty is deceptive. The air is thick with the suffocating smell of sulfur and chlorine gas, which can cause permanent lung damage. One wrong step could plunge you into a pool of boiling, highly acidic water. The ground is unstable, with thin crusts of salt hiding superheated brine beneath. It's a minefield of natural booby traps. This region is also tectonically active. It sits at the junction of three tectonic plates that are slowly pulling apart, creating what's known as the Danakil Depression. This geological turmoil fuels the area's active volcanoes, like Erta Ale, which contains one of the few permanent lava lakes in the world. The constant volcanic activity releases a cocktail of poisonous gases, making the air itself a weapon against you. Survival here requires not just water, but also a deep understanding of the hidden chemical and geological threats. As if the natural dangers weren't enough, the region's proximity to the Eritrean border adds a human element of risk. In the past, there have been incidents of armed groups targeting tourists. Traveling here requires an armed escort, adding another layer of tension to an already extreme environment. The Danakil Desert is a brutal, inhospitable place that will test you physically and mentally. It's a land of fire and acid where the very earth seems to be trying to erase you. Mount Everest. The name itself is legendary, the highest peak on our planet, the ultimate challenge for mountaineers. But with great height comes great danger. Climbing Everest is one of the most perilous undertakings a human can attempt. The mountain is littered with the bodies of those who tried and failed. Over 300 climbers have perished on its slopes, many of whom remain frozen in time, serving as grim markers for those who follow. The primary danger is the altitude itself. Above 8,000 meters, you enter what is known as the death zone. At this altitude, the oxygen level is so low that it's insufficient to sustain human life. Your body is literally dying with every breath you take. Climbers must rely on bottled oxygen, but even with it, the body is breaking down. High-altitude cerebral edema can cause your brain to swell, leading to confusion, loss of coordination, and death. High-altitude pulmonary edema fills your lungs with fluid, essentially drowning you from the inside. Then there are the objective hazards of the mountain itself. The weather on Everest is notoriously unpredictable and can change in an instant, with temperatures plummeting to -76 degrees Fahrenheit and winds reaching hurricane force. Frostbite is a constant threat, capable of claiming fingers, toes, and noses in minutes. The Khumbu Icefall, a treacherous, ever-shifting glacier near base camp, is a maze of deep crevasses and towering ice seracs that can collapse without warning. Avalanches are a constant deadly threat, capable of wiping out entire teams. The sheer physical and mental toll is immense. The climb takes weeks, slowly acclimatizing to the thin air, but it wears you down. Exhaustion, dehydration, and poor judgment caused by hypoxia are a deadly combination. Many deaths occur on the descent, when climbers have used up all their energy reserves reaching the summit and have nothing left for the perilous journey back down. Everest may be a symbol of human achievement, but it's also a monument to human fragility in the face of nature's awesome power. In northern Tanzania, there is a body of water so hostile to life it's like something from a horror film. This is Lake Natron, the lake that turns animals to stone, and honestly, it's not a myth. The water here is a lethal cocktail of chemicals, primarily sodium carbonate, and other minerals that flow in from the surrounding hills. This makes the lake extremely alkaline, with a pH of over 10.5, which is almost as high as ammonia. This caustic brew is enough to burn the skin and eyes of most animals that aren't adapted to it. The lake gets its name from natron, a naturally occurring compound that ancient Egyptians actually used for mummification. And that's exactly what it does to the unfortunate creatures that die in its waters. The high concentration of sodium carbonate acts as a fantastic preservative, calcifying their bodies and leaving them as perfectly preserved stone-like statues. Birds and bats that misjudge their flight and crash into the lake are often found washed ashore, looking like these eerie, calcified sculptures. It's a hauntingly beautiful yet utterly deadly phenomenon. The water temperature can also reach a scalding 140 degrees Fahrenheit, heated by volcanic activity from the nearby Old Doinyo Lengai volcano. This combination of extreme heat and caustic alkalinity makes the lake completely inhospitable for most life forms. Only a few species can survive here, most notably a species of cyanobacteria that gives the lake its otherworldly red and orange hues, and a flock of lesser flamingos that have adapted to nest on the salt islands, using the lake's deadly nature as a defense against predators. For humans, this place is incredibly dangerous. The strong chemical smell can be overwhelming, and any contact with the water can cause severe chemical burns. The surrounding mudflats are treacherous, and getting a vehicle stuck here could be a fatal mistake. Lake Natron is a perfect example of how a place can be both stunningly beautiful and incredibly lethal. It's a chemical trap, a natural mummification factory that serves as a stark warning about the hidden dangers in our world. Our next destination isn't a single place you can pinpoint on a map, but a vast, mysterious stretch of the North Atlantic Ocean. It's known as the Bermuda Triangle, or the Devil's Triangle. For decades, this area, roughly bounded by Bermuda, Florida, and Puerto Rico, has been blamed for the unexplained disappearance of dozens of ships and aircraft. The legend really took hold in the mid-20th century, capturing the public imagination with tales of vessels vanishing without a trace, often in calm weather, and sometimes without even sending a distress signal. One of the most famous incidents is the disappearance of Flight 19 in 1945. 5 U.S. Navy Avenger torpedo bombers vanished during a routine training mission. Even more mysteriously, a Martin Mariner rescue plane sent to search for them also disappeared, along with its 13 crewmen. No wreckage, no bodies, no explanation. Then there's the USS Cyclops, a massive U.S. Navy cargo ship that vanished in the Triangle in 1918 with 306 people on board, marking the single largest loss of life in U.S. naval history not involving combat. Over the years, theories to explain these disappearances have ranged from the mundane to the truly bizarre. Some propose rogue waves, sudden and violent storms, or catastrophic human error. The area is known for its turbulent weather and the powerful, swift-moving Gulf Stream current, which could quickly disperse any wreckage. Another scientific theory points to methane gas eruptions from the seafloor. A massive bubble of gas could, in theory, reduce the density of the water, causing a ship to sink almost instantly. However, many researchers and the U.S. Coast Guard argue that the number of incidents within the Triangle is not significantly higher than in any other heavily trafficked area of the ocean. They attribute the stories to sensationalism and coincidence, but the legend endures. Whether it's a paranormal vortex, alien abductions, or simply a combination of harsh weather and bad luck, the Bermuda Triangle remains a symbol of the unknown. It's a powerful reminder that even in our modern world, the ocean can still swallow us whole, leaving no answers behind. We now shift from natural dangers to man-made ones. Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan, is a city that has been scarred by decades of conflict. From the Soviet invasion to civil war and the recent resurgence of the Taliban, this city has known little peace. For any traveler, it remains one of the most dangerous urban environments in the world. The primary threat is the volatile and unpredictable security situation. The risk of terrorism, kidnappings, and violent crime is extremely high. The threat isn't just from large-scale attacks. Carjackings, armed robberies, and abductions for ransom are a constant danger, particularly for Westerners who are seen as high-value targets. The political situation is incredibly fragile, and civil unrest can erupt with little to no warning. A peaceful street can turn into a violent confrontation in minutes. The infrastructure, shattered by years of war, is struggling to cope, and basic services that we take for granted are often unreliable. Navigating the city is a logistical and security nightmare. Movement is often restricted with numerous checkpoints and the constant threat of improvised explosive devices planted along roadways. Even fortified compounds and hotels are not immune to attack. The psychological toll of living in such a high-threat environment is immense. It requires a constant state of hypervigilance, where every person, every vehicle, and every abandoned package could be a potential threat. It's an exhausting and nerve-wracking way to exist. While there is a rich history and a resilient population in Kabul, the overwhelming reality is one of danger. It's a city caught in a cycle of instability, where the rule of law is fragile, and violence is an ever-present possibility. For the foreseeable future, Kabul is a place where survival depends on navigating a complex web of political, military, and criminal threats. It's a frontline city and absolutely no place for a tourist. In 2011, a massive earthquake and a subsequent tsunami triggered a triple meltdown at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant in Japan. The event was the most severe nuclear accident since Chernobyl, forcing the evacuation of hundreds of thousands of residents and creating a new radioactive no-go zone. Much like its infamous predecessor in Ukraine, the Fukushima exclusion zone is a place where the danger is silent, invisible, and will persist for decades to come. The meltdown released significant amounts of radioactive material into the air, ground, and sea. While the Japanese government has been undertaking a massive, unprecedented cleanup effort, scraping away topsoil and washing down buildings, many areas remain dangerously contaminated. The levels of radiation, particularly near the crippled plant itself, are still high enough to pose a significant health risk to anyone who spends too much time there. The threat of cancers and other radiation-induced illnesses is very real. The zone is a surreal and haunting landscape. Entire towns like Okuma and Futaba were abandoned in a hurry, leaving behind homes, schools, and businesses frozen in time, just as they were on March 11, 2011. Cars sit rusting in driveways and weeds are reclaiming the streets. It's a modern ghost town, a testament to the power of nature and the perils of nuclear energy. The eerie silence is broken only by the wind and the crackle of Geiger counters. While some of the less contaminated areas have been reopened, allowing former residents to return, the core of the exclusion zone remains strictly off-limits to the public. The process of decommissioning the damaged reactors is a monumental task that will take an estimated 30 to 40 years, and the problem of what to do with the vast amounts of contaminated soil and water is still being debated. Fukushima is a stark modern reminder that a nuclear disaster creates a wound on the landscape that takes generations to heal. At first glance, Madidi National Park in Bolivia looks like a paradise. It's a sprawling expanse of the Amazon rainforest, one of the most biodiverse places on the planet. But honestly, this lush green world hides a staggering number of dangers. It's often said that everything in Madidi either wants to bite you, sting you, or infect you. And yeah, this is not an exaggeration. The park is a living, breathing gauntlet of natural threats. The wildlife here is the stuff of nightmares. It's home to some of the most aggressive jaguars in the Amazon, large herds of white-lipped peccaries that can attack in a frenzy, and countless venomous snakes, including the deadly fer-de-lance. The rivers are teeming with piranhas, electric eels, and stingrays, but it's often the smallest creatures that pose the biggest threat. Bullet ants deliver a sting so painful it's compared to being shot, and botflies lay eggs under your skin that hatch into flesh-eating larvae. It's not just the animals, the plant life is also out to get you. Contact with certain plants can cause severe rashes, itching, and allergic reactions. Even a small cut or scratch can become dangerously infected in the hot, humid environment, leading to sepsis if not treated immediately. The forest floor is a breeding ground for parasitic worms and fungi that can enter your body through your feet or any open wound. This is a place where a tiny mistake can have massive consequences. Then there's the challenge of navigation. The jungle is a dense, disorienting labyrinth. It's incredibly easy to get lost, and once you're off the trail, your chances of survival plummet. Finding clean water and edible food requires expert knowledge, as many plants are poisonous. The combination of predatory wildlife, toxic plants, and insidious parasites makes Madidi a true green hell. It's a place that demands the utmost respect and expertise. For the unprepared, this paradise can quickly become a tomb. Cape Town is, without a doubt, one of the most beautiful cities in the world, nestled between the iconic Table Mountain and the sparkling Atlantic Ocean. But beneath this stunning veneer lies a dark and dangerous reality. The city is plagued by extreme social inequality, which fuels one of the highest crime rates on the planet. For tourists and locals alike, the threat of violent crime is a constant and sobering presence. The danger is particularly concentrated in the sprawling townships on the outskirts of the city, known as the Cape Flats. These areas are characterized by poverty and are often controlled by violent gangs. However, crime is not confined to these areas. Carjackings, armed robberies, muggings, and home invasions can and do occur in the more affluent, tourist-heavy parts of the city as well. It's a place where you have to be constantly aware of your surroundings, where a moment of inattention can make you a target. The statistics are grim. Cape Town frequently ranks among the world's most violent cities based on its homicide rate. While much of this violence is gang-related and concentrated in specific areas, the ripple effects are felt throughout the city. Tourists are advised not to walk alone at night, to keep car doors locked and windows up, and to avoid displaying valuables like cameras and phones. The stark contrast between the city's breathtaking beauty and its underlying danger is jarring. This isn't to say you can't visit Cape Town, but it requires a level of street-smart vigilance that is far beyond a typical holiday. You must understand the risks, know which areas to avoid, and take security precautions very seriously. It's a city of two faces, one of incredible natural wonder and vibrant culture, and another of deep-seated social problems that manifest in violence. Ignoring the latter can have dire consequences. It's a paradise with a very sharp edge. For decades, the name Mogadishu has been, honestly, just synonymous with chaos, civil war, and anarchy. The capital of Somalia is consistently ranked as one of the most dangerous cities on earth. Years of conflict between warlords, clan militias, and extremist groups like Al-Shabaab have left the city shattered and steeped in violence. For any outsider, and really even for its own residents, survival is a daily struggle in a city where the rule of law has all but collapsed. The primary threat comes from terrorism. Al-Shabaab frequently carries out bombings, suicide attacks, and armed assaults, often targeting hotels, government buildings, and public spaces. The security situation is extremely fluid and unpredictable. A street that is calm one moment can become a war zone the next. Kidnapping for ransom is a thriving industry, with foreigners, journalists, and aid workers being prime targets. Travel within the city is impossible without armed security details and armored vehicles. Basic infrastructure is either destroyed or honestly just non-existent. Access to clean water, electricity, and medical care is severely limited. Hospitals are overwhelmed and ill-equipped to deal with the constant stream of trauma injuries. The city's streets are a landscape of ruins, a constant reminder of the relentless conflict that has torn the country apart. This is not a place where you can blend in or keep a low profile. The dangers are pervasive and indiscriminate. While there have been periods of relative calm and efforts to rebuild, Mogadishu remains fundamentally unstable. It is a city on the front line of a long and brutal war. The resilience of its people is extraordinary, but the dangers are overwhelming. It is a place where the normal rules of society do not apply, and survival is dictated by firepower, connections, and sheer luck. Without a compelling life-or-death reason to be there, Mogadishu is a place to be avoided at all costs. There is a 100-mile stretch of land that breaks the Pan-American Highway, the road network that connects North and South America. This missing link is the Darien Gap, a lawless, roadless expanse of dense jungle, treacherous mountains, and vast swamps bridging Panama and Colombia. It is honestly one of a handful of places on Earth that has truly resisted human encroachment. Attempting to cross it is one of the most dangerous expeditions you could ever undertake. The natural dangers are immense. The jungle is a sweltering, unforgiving environment, home to venomous snakes, spiders, and disease-carrying insects. The terrain is a nightmare of sheer cliffs, deep mud, and raging rivers that can swell to impassable torrents in minutes during the frequent downpours. It's incredibly easy to get lost, and survival depends on elite-level jungle skills. Dehydration, starvation, and infection are constant threats. This is Mother Nature at her most impenetrable. But the natural hazards are matched, if not exceeded, by the human dangers. The Darien Gap is a notorious smuggling corridor, completely outside the control of any government. It's used by drug traffickers, armed revolutionary groups like the FARC, dissidents, and human smugglers. These groups are ruthless and highly territorial. Anyone they encounter is seen as a potential threat or a target for robbery, kidnapping, or worse. There is no law here but the law of the gun. In recent years, the Gap has also become a perilous route for migrants heading north. They face extortion, violence, and death at the hands of criminal gangs who prey on their desperation. The jungle is littered with the remains of those who didn't make it. The Darien Gap is a perfect storm of extreme environmental hazards and human lawlessness. It's a black hole on the map where people disappear. It is without question one of the most dangerous journeys on the planet. For our final destination, we return to the shadow of Chernobyl, to the epicenter of the human catastrophe, the city of Pripyat. This was a model Soviet city, built in the 1970s to house the workers of the nearby nuclear power plant. It had a population of nearly 50,000 people with schools, hospitals, a sports complex, and an amusement park. Then on April 26, 1986, it all ended. The city was evacuated in a matter of hours, and its residents were told they would be back in 3 days. They never returned. Today, Pripyat is the world's most famous ghost city, a haunting time capsule of the Soviet Union. But it's a poisoned time capsule. The city was directly in the path of the most intense radioactive fallout from the explosion. While ambient radiation has fallen, the city is riddled with dangerous hotspots. The dust that coats every surface is contaminated. Items left behind, particularly metal objects, can hold dangerously high levels of radiation. Disturbing anything here is a massive risk. Walking through Pripyat is a profoundly unsettling experience. You see classrooms with books still open on desks, dolls left discarded in cots, and the iconic Ferris wheel that was set to open just days after the disaster, now a symbol of a future that never was. The silence is absolute, broken only by the wind whistling through shattered window panes and the crunch of glass under your feet. It feels like the set of a post-apocalyptic film, but the danger here is real and invisible. The greatest danger in Pripyat lies in the buildings themselves. After decades of neglect, they are structurally unsound, roofs are collapsing, floors are giving way, and the entire city is slowly crumbling back into the earth. Entering these decaying structures is incredibly risky. Pripyat is more than just a dangerous place, it's a memorial. It's a chilling, powerful warning about the catastrophic price of human error, and the long, toxic shadow that nuclear power can cast. We've journeyed through the furnace of Death Valley, navigated the slithering nightmare of Snake Island, and felt the invisible threat of Chernobyl's fallout. We've seen places where nature's power is absolute, and others where human conflict has created a living hell. These 15 destinations represent the absolute extremes of danger on our planet. They are not challenges to be conquered or dark tourism spots to be checked off a list. They are solemn warnings written on the map in bold red letters. The world is a vast and beautiful place full of incredible destinations that welcome adventurers with open arms. There are countless mountains to climb, jungles to explore, and cultures to experience that don't require you to gamble with your life. The thrill of adventure should be about pushing your limits, not about stepping over the edge into pure, unadulterated danger. Understanding the difference is the most important survival skill of all. Respect the warnings, respect the power of these places, and know when to turn back. Remember that your safety is your own responsibility. The stories of those who have perished in these locations serve as the ultimate cautionary tales. No thrill is worth risking your life. Stay safe and steer clear of these deadly destinations. Your greatest adventure is the one you live to tell.